Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video, it's another Premier League predictions video. The international break is over and the Premier League resumes this upcoming weekend. And if business hadn't have picked up before, if obviously the heat wasn't on before the international break, it certainly will be now, as we are entering the run-in, the final leg, whatever you want to call it, from now until the end of the season. This is where business picks up. This is where we get to finally know who will win the Premier League title, who will be relegated, and who will, of course, be making Champions League and the top four for next season. Lots to play for still, and we're going to start it off with this big round of fixtures that is coming up this weekend, and we're going to be here to talk about all the games coming up and of course give predictions as well. But before we go any further in talking all about that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the predictions. Okay, first things first, kick things off, we're going to jump to Bournemouth taking on Fulham. Both sides in this one wanting to get back to winning ways here in the Premier League. Bournemouth last time out hit a bit of a reality check when they lost 3-0 to Aston Villa. Whilst last time in the Premier League for Fulham, they also lost 3-0 to Arsenal, but obviously since then had that FA Cup defeat to Manchester United, in which Fulham completely capitulated in that game. But it pretty much not only just shooting themselves in the foot, but shooting themselves in the other foot and then the face in that game to really kind of hand Manchester United the win, as it were, because they just completely lost their heads in that one. Both teams wanting to get back to winning ways. Both teams wanting to put things right on the pitch. This one could be an interesting game in that aspect. You've, of course, got Bournemouth, who are battling relegation. Fulham, who are currently sat in mid-table and are obviously not too far away from a European football place for next season. So they've got a lot to fight for themselves as well. Like I say, it could be an interesting game. A game that I can see potentially a draw. Bournemouth being at home, that could get the home crowd on their side, and that could be energy to feed off for them. But I think I'll have to go with a favourite and think that Fulham will get the job done here, and that is why I'm going to go 2-1 to Fulham. Next up, we're at the City Ground. It is Nottingham Forest taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Big game this one, a big relegation battle this one that is obviously playing out at the foot of the table. Despite obviously being in 13th, Wolves find themselves only 3 points clear of the drop zone, whilst Forest in 16th obviously find themselves 2 points clear. It's a big relegation battle ahead. It's a massive game in prospect. It's a game in which, obviously with Forest being at home, they may fancy their chances a bit more. They are better at home than they are away, but they are in some really, really bad form right now, and they need something to turn it around. And maybe the international break came at a perfect time for Steve Cooper's side, as he tries to get his team to recuperate, to obviously go again in the run-in to the end of the campaign. For Wolves, it's 50-50 as in what you're going to get. Are you going to get a solid Wolves team that's going to be completely solid, or are you going to get one that is a bit weak, a bit just a bit self-destructive at times, like they were against Leeds? It really could go either which way, this one. Genuinely could. This one could be a very intriguing battle ahead. Obviously, I think with a home crowd, maybe they could feed off that energy, Forest, and get the win here. But I'm going to go down the middle. I'm going to go with a draw in this one and say that both teams come out of this one with a 1-1 draw. Next up, we're at Selhurst Park for the return of one Roy Hodgson. His Crystal Palace side are taking on Leicester Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a big occasion, a massive game again for both of these sides. Two sides that are again in the relegation battle. You've got Palace that are 3 points clear of the drop zone. Leicester on the brink of the drop zone, just one place outside of the bottom three, with 1 point separating them from possible relegation to the Championship right now. Massive game in prospect. Add on top of that, like I say, the return of Roy Hodgson to Selhurst Park. This will be the first game that he is going to be in charge of Crystal Palace since obviously making his return during the international break. His first game back since obviously leaving the club a couple of years ago. He has since taken over Patrick Vieira. This is the roll of the dice that the Crystal Palace board hope will keep their heads above water and will obviously maintain their Premier League status. Whilst for Leicester, of course, they've got match winners in their squad. James Maddison's been great for them all season, but he can't do it on his own, as proven by the way that Leicester have completely underperformed this season and are in this relegation battle as it is. I was quite surprised, really, that they would as low as what they are. But here we are. Leicester, one place outside the drop zone, going to be facing Crystal Palace. Look, a draw, or like I say, Leicester with the players that they have, winning is certainly entirely possible. Like, it very much is just one of them things where both teams are inconsistent. Both teams go through this roller coaster of ups and downs. Anything genuinely could happen in this relegation battle. But I'm going to go with Crystal Palace. I think the home crowd will be on their side. I think, obviously, the new manager bounce of Roy Hodgson might just get them over the edge. The experience of him as well in these types of situations might get him over the edge. I genuinely do think Palace might pick up their first victory of 2023 in this game, which is why I'm going to say this will end 2-1 to Roy Hodgson's side. Next up, we've got the league leaders, Arsenal, 8 points clear at the top of the table, looking to extend that lead, maintain that lead at least, as they go into battle against Leeds this Saturday. Big game, obviously, for both sides at either ends of the table. You've got an Arsenal side, obviously, looking to, like I say, maintain their stance, or maintain their points difference at the very least, against Manchester City in second place, whilst you've got a Leeds side that are of course battling relegation, and any points right now will do them the world of good as they look to continue to try and separate themselves from the bottom three. However, they face a massive uphill battle facing this Arsenal side, who have obviously been the best side in the division this season so far. Look, Arsenal winning is the favourite. They're at home. They're playing some excellent football right now, but don't discredit Leeds entirely. The international break could have came at a perfect time for Leeds, and in facing Arsenal, it could have disrupted a little bit of Arsenal's momentum. There are a lot of things that could obviously take place, and obviously as we resume back club football, obviously weird results can definitely happen. But in saying that, it probably should be Arsenal's to win, Arsenal's to lose, whatever you want to call it. This should be Arsenal, 3 points written all over it. And that is why I've got to go with an Arsenal win. I've got to go with a favourite, and I've got to say that Mikel Arteta's side come out of this one as 2-0 winners. Next up, a very intriguing game that is going to be contested between two teams that are currently jostling for position in terms of European football places. You have Brighton against Brentford at the Amex Stadium Saturday afternoon. This one, I believe, could be one of the most underrated, or maybe a game that just goes under the microscope kind of thing, games of this current weekend, because this could be a very interesting and very exciting game of football between two sides who obviously like to go forward and attack and like to get the ball down and play some nice and attractive football at times. This one could definitely be one to look out for this weekend. Personally, I think Brighton being at home is obviously good for them. They are pretty good at home. They have got stronger in recent weeks. Both teams obviously jostling for position, like I say, in terms of European football places for next season, and will probably fancy their chances of climbing the table even further because of the inconsistencies of the teams that are above them, the Liverpools, the Tottenhams, maybe even Newcastles as well. But it's going to be interesting, this one. It's going to be very interesting. Brentford away from home, not exactly the best, but not exactly the worst either. And we know that when they do turn it on, they can be pretty devastating at times for any opposition. Brighton, pretty much the same. When they decide to turn it on, they can be devastating at times. And they have seemingly gone from strength to strength. under their new manager this season. As far as a prediction goes, look, this one is another one that can go any which way. There's a lot of tight battles this weekend between relegation candidates and obviously European football candidates as well. This is just another one of them games. If I had to guess, I might give the edge to Brighton, but I think overall a draw is probably the safe bet, which is why I'm going to say that this game will end 2-2 come the final whistle. Our Saturday evening game, we'll see Aston Villa take on Chelsea. It is an away day for Aston Villa as they'll be taking on Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Massive game for your Saturday night viewing. Look, for Chelsea, this is about getting points on the board. They're currently sat bang mid-table. They need something to get a bit more exciting, a bit more optimistic for the remainder of the future. They definitely need something to start kicking in for this blue side, whether it's the remainder of the season, whether it's going to be to help them in their Champions League campaign, or whether it's going to be something to get them hopeful and optimistic for obviously next season. Chelsea needs something, and it needs to happen during this run-in, and believe me, they've got some massive and some pretty difficult, shall we say, fixtures to contend with from now until the run-in, which is going to make it even more interesting to view Chelsea as they go forward. And to start off with, they've got an Aston Villa side who, under Unai Emery, have gone from strength to strength. They continue to improve, and they continue to be difficult work for the teams that they come up against. Villa are on a 4-game unbeaten run right now. They are scoring a few goals. They're remaining resilient. Unai Emery is definitely working his magic at some stage or in some way, shape or form at this club. And of course, it's seemingly sticking for the most part. It's not always there. It does have a tendency to slip at times. It's obviously still finding its feet under their new manager and so on and so forth. But Villa are doing very well, and they will definitely fancy their chances this weekend. Chelsea being at home could obviously help them get over the line here and get over there with the 3 points. But with how inconsistent Chelsea have been, I wouldn't be surprised if Villa managed to get something from this game. Both teams have capabilities of hurting each other. It's all about whether Chelsea or not can break down a stubborn and resilient Aston Villa backline that has grown, obviously, with the influence of Unai Emery. That's going to be interesting to watch. And I think that in this game, I'm going to have to say that this game will end in a draw. And that's why I am going to go for a 1-1 draw come the final whistle. Let's move on to the next game on the list, and it is going to be at London Stadium. We have got West Ham taking on Southampton. Another big game for both clubs. Once again, both teams are, again, struggling in the relegation zone. Another relegation battle awaits us in this one. West Ham, again, West Ham have the players, they have the capabilities of beating a Southampton side, and especially with the game being at home, you would expect West Ham to obviously be more inclined to take the game to them, be on the front foot. But Southampton can be difficult, and we've seen that time and time again, that they can be difficult when they want to be. It's just not consistent enough. Now, of course, both teams need points. Both teams are in need of trying to salvage something from the remainder of the season and to put together a survival bid. This could be a very nervy game. This could be a very awkward game for both sets of players, whether it's just for themselves or for the opposition. And something that may be of interest to even neutrals, this one, especially for those that are all down there in the bottom 8, so to speak, that are all within 3 points of each other, within touching distance. So, of course, there'll be a lot of eyes on this one going forward. I'd expect West Ham to win, given the quality that they have at their disposal, and obviously with the kind of players that they have in general. But, of course, a relegation battle, anything can happen. I am going to go with the favourite. I'm going to go with West Ham and say that West Ham come out of this one as 2-1 winners. Next up, a massive game at St James's Park on Sunday. It is Newcastle taking on Manchester United. Huge game for these two top 4 chasing teams. You've got Manchester United, who have been slightly dragged back into the top 4 race. Many people still expect them to go on and cement their position in the top 4 from this position. Myself kind of included in that, I guess, as much as I hate to say it. But I think they will get top 4 from this position. But a win for Newcastle on Sunday and a win for Tottenham on Monday we'll see Manchester United drop out of the top 4 for basically that week, until obviously United do play their games in hand maybe. But it will obviously drag them back more, even deeper, shall we say, into that kind of top 4 race, and we'll see how things go from there. Like I say, there's a lot riding on it for Newcastle. They've picked up a couple of good wins in recent weeks. They seem to have got back into a bit of form. Then the international break has come. Will that have disrupted things a little bit, or will they continue their good run of form? Only time will tell. It's obviously going to be a loud St James's Park. It's going to be a St James's Park that is going to be wanting and almost tasting Champions League football for next season. So you know that every home game is going to be even louder, even more hostile for opposing players and opposing clubs that obviously go there. It's going to be very interesting to watch this game unfold, because let's face it, you've got a Newcastle side who've got some pretty good players. You've got a Newcastle side that has got a bit of flair about them right now, a bit of creativity, a bit of intrigue, a bit of excitement. The likes of Almiron and St Maximin and Bruno Guimaraes and even Alexander Isak, who scored a couple of goals in their last game against Nottingham Forest. They're starting to build Newcastle. If they can continue to be consistent in front of goal as well, they could cause some upsets along the way and may even get into that top 4 ahead of some of the other teams that are currently jostling for position there. And you've got a Manchester United side who are, of course, relying on the likes of Marcus Rashford to drag them through. Could be interesting. I don't think there's no Casemiro for this game, I believe. But at the same time, there still should be enough about this Manchester United side to be a very good game and be very interesting to watch unfold. A win for United probably might seem the favourite, but I am going to go with a draw. I think United will drop points here, and that is why I think away from home, United might be a bit Newcastle might be a bit difficult for United to contend with, and that is why I can see this ending down the middle as a draw, and that is why I'm going to say this game will end 1-1 come the final whistle. And the penultimate game on this list, we'll see Monday night's game against Everton and Tottenham Hotspur take place. Obviously, there's a lot riding on this game. You've got an Everton side that are trying to continuously break out from relegation battling. You've got an Everton side that are looking to put more distance between themselves and the bottom 3. You've got an Everton side that are at home, so you know they're going to be difficult. And you've got an Everton side that under Sean Dyche, again, are picking up wins here and there, and they're starting to really put together a case for survival. But then you've got a Tottenham side who are chasing top 4. They're currently in the top 4. They might not be when the ball is kicked on Monday night, but you've got a Tottenham side that are there in the top 4. You've got a Tottenham side that have just sacked their manager Antonio Conte. They've got his second assistant in charge right now. They've got Ryan Mason as the assistant. You've got a Tottenham side who have rolled the dice in a bit of a gamble here in terms of getting top 4. Will the guy who was under Conte be better? Will he be the same? Or will he somehow be even worse? That's going to be the big, obviously, talking point. That's going to be a big talking point for this weekend. And we're going to have to see how... And we may get a glimpse as to how Tottenham may go about the rest of the season. Are the players in it anymore? Do they care? Do they not care? This could be very intriguing, obviously, to watch from afar and see how the Tottenham players respond to obviously what has happened to them over the past couple of weeks from that 3-3 draw against Southampton that they had before the international break took place. As far as this game goes, look, big game for both sides. You've got an Everton side battling hard down there. You've got a Spurs side that obviously have got match winners across the pitch. Will Son rediscover his form in this one? Kulusevski, we know what he's about. Will his and Kane link up? Be immaculate on the night to obviously put Everton to the sword. And obviously, as I said, Harry Kane having an unbelievable season, and we'd be talking about it even more if it wasn't for a certain striker that plays for Manchester City right now, breaking records left, right and centre, and is on the verge of pretty much doing that very, very soon. But Kane, like I say, incredible as well. And like I say, I think that looking at this game, a draw possible. Everton being at home makes it extremely difficult, but I think with the match winners, I think Tottenham just about edge it. And that is why, even though that there's no Conte and it's going to be an assistant manager in charge, I still think Tottenham may get a win in this game. A bit of a slightly new manager bounce, I guess you'd say. And that Tottenham will win this game by 2-1. And finally, in what I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the main event of this upcoming weekend's games of Premier League football, it is Manchester City taking on Liverpool. It is second place Man City and sixth place Liverpool. It is a title chasing and Arsenal chasing Manchester City against a Liverpool side chasing the top four. It's going to be another interesting game between these two sides. Normally, these two sides would be facing off in a title decider, or some sort of title decider, I guess you'd say, especially in recent years. That has often been the case. This season, obviously, with Liverpool's drop-off, that's not to be the case, and obviously they're fighting for something different than what Manchester City currently are. Look, I've got no idea how this game is going to go. I've gone against Liverpool in the past, or sort of gone against Liverpool in the past, I guess you'd say, and especially this season, and they've surprised me. And part of me wants to do that again. I remember last time I predicted the possible outcome of a Liverpool-Manchester City game. I think I put City to win. Liverpool went on to win 1-0 earlier this season, thanks to a Mohamed Salah goal. I kind of want to do the same thing again and see if obviously fate will repeat itself and maybe go for a hammering, a Manchester City hammering. Look, City at home are devastating. And this is the kind of area of the season where they start to kick it up a few notches. We can agree that they haven't necessarily been at their ruthlessly best or their relentlessly best, but they've still obviously been incredible. They've still been fantastic. They're still second in the table. They're still chasing Arsenal, and of course they've got a absolute goal-scoring machine in Erling Haaland currently playing for them. And obviously that is going to be something that obviously Liverpool will know about and will try and obviously stop, even though their defence has been very poor this season. You've got a Liverpool side who last time out lost to Bournemouth. They were on a pretty good run until that point. They came up against Bournemouth and look what happened. Coincidentally, that was a 12:30 game on a Saturday. This coming up is a 12:30 game on a Saturday. This is what's kicking off the entire weekend. Manchester City versus Liverpool. There's going to be a ton of eyes on this game, from Arsenal fans to, of course, rivals of the top four. This is going to be a massive game to kick off the Premier League weekend for the resumption of the run-in. And I'm pretty nervous about it because, obviously, I want Liverpool to salvage something from this season. Top four is not what we obviously were hoping our season would rely on, but it is what it is, and we just got to go with it now. I want Liverpool to win, obviously. Really, really want Liverpool to win. It might also help Arsenal get the Premier League title itself and take it away from City. Fair play to them if they do. 12:30 on a Saturday, away from home as well, and not just at any ground, but the Etihad, is kind of making me tip the scales in City's favour. But in the big games this season, Liverpool have turned up. United, Arsenal for a period of time, obviously City the last time we played them. So I think Liverpool will turn up again. They'll give City a good go. But whether or not it'll be good enough, I don't know. Because obviously with City's players that are in form, their goal-scoring machine, Liverpool's defence just being so awkward and weird right now, it could be anything, this one. But I am going to make a prediction. I'm going to say that this game will end in a draw. I'm going to say that this game will end 2-2 come the final whistle. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, predictions of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all the games that are coming up this weekend in the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures as the Premier League resumes once again for the run-in of the end of the campaign? I'd love to know what you guys think. your thoughts, your comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on all the games that are coming up this weekend down below in the comment section. I'm sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way up, enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see you and speak to you all again soon in another video.